And we looked up just the trajectory to see maybe she's just started and she's building, give her some time. Literally, it's like a downward escalator. I mean, both numbers, the overall and the demo, off a cliff. No one wants to watch Jen Psaki. I mean, no one. She decided, I mean, this is so true of all these people. They work at the White House press office. What they really want is to be a cable news star. And so they lay the foundation while they're over there trying to make themselves into a national personality. And what they really want is the job of the people they watch on primetime every night. They're envious.
Megyn Kelly mentioned on her show that former White House press secretary Jen Psaki isn't doing so well in her new role on MSNBC. The ratings are not only low, but they're dropping. Megyn's point of ire is that she believes this was always Psaki's goal, to become a news anchor on a major network.
Sounds pretty familiar, right?
That's where the big bucks come in. That's where the fame and notoriety comes in. And perhaps that job has a bit more staying power than the 4 to 8 year White House term limit allows.
It's true of half of Congress, too. It's pathetic. Would you just legislate or work with the executive office to come up with better messaging and better policy instead of be a star effer? That's what these people turn into. And so she now is trying to make herself into a star, and she's failing because she has no actual talent in this field. She had more talent being a spinner, a professional spinner behind the lectern than she does being a different kind of professional spinner behind the MSNBC mic.
While conventional wisdom tells us that job hopping is the best and quickest way to increase your salary while gaining relevant experience in the field, I find myself agreeing with Megyn's primary contention here, that government work is one area that should not be explicitly used as a stepping stone to something bigger, better, or more lucrative. Even worse, government work shouldn't be used primarily to enrich oneself at the expense of those that you took an oath to serve. Of course, that kind of thing happens all the time. We have career senators and representatives who make money from shady insider trading. We have lobbyists paying off congresspeople and judges so that they'll favor the lobby, even if that means going against the will of the people that voted the congresspeople into office. And we have Supreme Court justices willingly taking bribes from billionaires and law firms, again in exchange for doing their benefactors' bidding. And then we have people, none of whom I will mention specifically, who run presidential campaigns that they know they can't win, so that maybe one day they can just secure a cabinet position for themselves. So I agree with Megyn up to that point. She was right about the fact that those who choose to serve their country by taking up roles in government should use their time in those positions to actually legislate and to actually attempt to do right by the American people. However, in the case of Jen Psaki specifically, I don't know what her goals or career aspirations were prior to her taking the White House job, and contrary to what Megyn seems to be insinuating, I'm not accusing Jen Psaki of underperforming at her job as the White House press secretary just because she was busy chasing a different job. I think it's possible to both do your current job well while remaining ambitious and open to different opportunities. In fact, I think you'd have to do well at your current job if you're hoping to bounce upward. Whether or not you think Jen Psaki did well in her former role is your opinion, but I'm not going to behoove her for taking on a different role and making that decision for herself. At least she left the position before enriching herself, which is more than we can say about so many other government workers. Is it working out for her? It appears not, but people take risks in their careers all the time. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't, and despite all of the analysis and soul-searching that happens prior to change in one's life, things don't always go the way you plan or hope for them to. And that said, a lot can change in media, and it's my belief that shows need time and encouragement to develop a style and grow an audience before deciding whether or not it gets chopped. We know this, we see it all the time with Netflix. Now, I do think there's a bigger conversation to be had here about mainstream versus independent or even less mainstream media. There are pros and cons for both. Mainstream media is beholden to its owners, so even with the best journalistic intentions, sometimes the hosts and the guests can be limited on what they cover and how. However, they have incredible access to resources and guests that more independent outlets might not. They also have bigger budgets to attract more experienced or reputable talent. Also, despite what a lot of mainstream critics believe, while the reporting might hold an apparent bias, they're still required to report the news factually. We're literally seeing what can happen when these outlets don't report facts right now with what's happening to Fox News. It's already cost them nearly $1 billion, and they're expected to have to pay even more in their currently ongoing legal battles. That's even before considering lost revenue from Tucker Carlson's former show and the ratings backlash the network is expected to experience for parting ways with him. On the other hand, independent media has more freedom to present stories as they wish with whatever angle they deem fit or interesting. This allows for more diversity of thought and presentation, which is generally considered to be a good thing. With that, independent media tends to have lower barriers to entry, so viewers have to be more discerning with who they obtain their news and commentary from. And while independent media might not be beholden to billionaires the same way that mainstream media is, it does rely on views and algorithms to remain profitable in a more direct way than large corporate networks do. It's not unusual to see journalists and presenters bounce from independent media to mainstream media, or from mainstream to independent. People take different paths in their careers for a million different reasons, and I'm not judging the decisions that people make. But to reiterate the original point, Jen Psaki aside, the independent to mainstream cycle operates within the realm of career advancement in one way or another. Conversely, using a government position explicitly as a stepping stone to more money does a disservice to the American people. I'm not saying that that's what Jen Psaki did or even intended to do, but she's honestly the least of my worries where that's concerned. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok.